Hi everyone, thank you for clicking on the video. Today's video we're going to talk about the Bloodfiend's arm. I know it has been slightly nerfed, but it's still doing good damage. We're just going to go over a few things like where to find the Bloodfiend's arm. It can be found early in the DLC. Basically, you need to go to the three-path cross site of grace, which is the first site of grace that you visit, and head over towards Belrat Tower. But rather than going to Belrat Tower, you just make a left turn where the archway ends and keep following the ledges. And once you ride ahead, you'll naturally come to a turn which leads you towards the left side. And once you go towards the left side, you'll see a prospect town right in front of you. Yeah, there it is. And we'll just go there because this place is filled with blood fiends. So it's a good location. So there's still some confusion whether you can farm the weapon or is it a guaranteed drop. For me it dropped in my second try, so I think there is some farming required. But yeah, having said that, this was the best spot where you can find it because just of the sheer number of blood fiends that are here. We're just gonna go. I know these ones don't drop it, but we're just gonna go slightly up. Yeah. There's going to be a quick armor change here because I couldn't record the video the first time. So, yeah. So I'm using the Blasphemous Blade because I just love Taker's Flame, Ash of War. And I feel these Blood Fiends are really susceptible to fire damage because I'm able to, just spam the Ash of War and just kill them. So it makes it super easy for me. If you have some points in Faith and Strength, I would suggest you also use the Blasphemous Blade or any other weapon which helps you get rid of enemies quickly. Preferably a fire weapon because I think these guys are susceptible to fire. And now we do have the Bloodfiend's arm. About the Ashes of War, the weapon comes with Endure, but there are two other Ashes of War that you can use to really maximize damage. Royal Knight's Resolve and Crack Blade. We're going to focus on Royal Knight's Resolve first. Basically, what Royal Knight Resolve does is it increases the damage of the next strike by 80%. That's 80% more physical damage. And if the next strike is a critical strike, so let's say you have a stagger and then you charge it up and then you do a strike, then you'll get 35% more stance damage, right? And you can build this up with the dagger talisman because you will be staggering enemies a lot, so it really helps with the stagger damage. And the weapon, I mean, you can see, you can just spam R1 and still get, kills very easily. The weapon is really, really good when it comes to that. Just getting a bit smashed here, but yeah, so apparently once you get hit, the Ash of War doesn't go away. It just stays there for 10 seconds or till the next hit. So that's one of the things that stop me from using it, but it's up to your preference. The reason is that it only stays till the next hit, and there is a short window that you have to get the next hit. And as you can see from the bear video, I needed to find an opening to actually get the hit in because I knew it was on a timer of 10 seconds and I needed to jump in and get a hit in so the Ash of War doesn't get wasted. So yeah, the other one is Crack Blade, and Crack Blade, I prefer Crack Blade. It increases stance damage by 10%. It used to be 20%, but now it's 10%, and it increases physical damage by 15%. Now, the thing is, it's quite less than what the Royal Knight's Resolve was doing, but the good part is that the Ash of War stays on for 60 seconds. So for 60 seconds, you'll be getting 10% more stance damage and 15% more physical damage. And the Ash of War looks cool too. See, you'll just stomp it and then pull it out with all those rocks. And those rocks do fall away, by the way. So after 60 seconds, you'll see that the rocks will just fall off the weapon. which is also a pretty cool effect. So the one thing that I noticed, and I didn't notice this before, but I think the timing kind of matched. I was just going down to get the Lord of Buzz exaltation, and just see here. So when you do the Ash of War and he stomps it to the ground, the enemy gets damage, and once he pulls it out, the enemy also gets some damage, right? And you get some invincibility frames as well, because you're bending down to do the Ash of War. For the talismans, you can use the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. This will give you 20% more damage if there is blood loss in the vicinity, and you will be procting bleed a lot with the Bloodfiend's arm, regardless of which Ash of War you used, whether it's Endure, Crack Blade, or Royal Knight's Resolve. As long as the weapon affinity is set to bleed, you will proc bleed quite frequently. The second talisman that I like to use, and I would suggest if you have that playstyle you also use it, is the Axe Talisman, which increases the attack power of your heavy attacks by 10%. Further, you can use the two-handed Sword Talisman. This basically increases your attack power by 15% if you're two-handing the weapon. So these are the three talismans that I constantly have on when I'm playing with the Bloodfiend's arm. For the fourth slot, you can use the Viridian Ember Medallion to increase your stamina by 17%, or you can use the two-headed Turtle Talisman, which increases your stamina recovery speed by 10 points per second. You can also, if let's say if you're playing with the Royal Knight's Resolve and you have a build where you like to break stances and do critical damage, then I suggest you use the Dagger Talisman, as it increases critical damage by 17%. So paired on top of the Royal Knight's Resolves, a critical damage of 25%, this will give you a total of 52% of 52% increase in your critical hits. And if you do jump attacks, then I would suggest you use the Claw Talisman. This increases the power of your jump attacks by 15%. Having said that, as far as armor pieces are concerned, you can go for the Rakshasa set. It gives you 8% more damage. Or you can have the White Mask set on. It works very similar to Lord of Blood's Exaltation, where it gives you 10% more attack power if there is blood loss in the vicinity. And if you're doing a jump attack build, or you like doing jump attacks, then I would say you go for Raptor's Black Feathers. This will give you 10% more damage with your jump attacks, and paired with the Claw Talisman, that number comes up to 25% increase in your jump attacks. And let's say if you have blood loss in the vicinity, depending whether it's through, if you have the White Mask on, then it goes up to 35%. And if you have Lord of Blood's Exaltation, then it goes up to 55%. So it all stacks. As far as the Flask of Wondrous Physic goes, I like to use the Stone Barb Crystal Tier. This gives me 30% more stance damage for 30 seconds. And I mix it with the Green Burst Tier, which gives me plus 15 points recovery speed per second of my stamina. With all that out of the way, these are the light attacks of the Bloodfiend's arm. This is the heavy attack. It does a small AoE, a blood loss AoE. And then this is the jumping attack. And then we have the Ash of War, Crack Blade. This is how it looks. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. For more Elden Ring content, you can click on one of the videos on the screen. And for more dumb ways to game, please subscribe.